Hey everybody, Stewart Heath here, CEO and founder of Harvard Grace Capital. We're getting down to the end of our 100 questions you should be asking your passive activity sponsor. We've covered questions about the sponsor. We've covered questions about the investment itself. We've covered financial and tax questions. And today we're going to, for the next two episodes, we're going to talk about legal questions you should be asking about the deal. So, and then we're going to follow that up with questions about insurance. So stay tuned. We're almost to the end here. Appreciate you sticking with us. So, questions about the legal structure. You need to understand if it is a private placement. You should be asking what rule are they using to rely on an exemption from registration of this deal with the Securities Exchange. You've probably heard the terms private placement and Reg D, and under Reg D there are multiple rules. There's also other regs in case you're dealing with Reg CF or perhaps if there's a foreign person involved, there'll be a different rule. But Reg D is the most common one, and it's going to be a 506B or a 506C, and there's other rules, but these are the most common, and you want to make sure you understand that because who you are as the investor, sometimes you're required to be an accredited investor, and sometimes you're not, and so you want to make sure that you don't cause any trouble with that, and your sponsor should be way on top of that. You want to know who drafted the private placement memorandum and ask certain questions. Definitely read that private placement memorandum. Every sponsor is required to give a copy of the memorandum to every potential investor, and that should tell you everything you need to know about the deal. And most of these things are heavily weighted towards a section called risk factors, which should tell you every possible way you could lose your money, but mainly that it's possible that you could lose your money in the deal. It should also highlight what your risks and responsibilities are in case something does go wrong, and they should be zero if you're a passive investor. If they're telling you it's for accredited investors only, you need to find out how they're going to verify that. Some rules require third-party verification. Some you can just check the box and say, I'm accredited after reading the definition of accredited. And then should find out what is the dispute resolution. If the deal doesn't go as planned and you end up crossways with the sponsor, how are you going to resolve your differences? And that should be laid out in the operating agreement, which is another document that you should be reviewing. And then last one for today, what is the process by which all the passive investors could get together and remove the general partner? And that will also be laid out in the operating agreement. You just want to understand the operating rules of the deal as you're getting into it, or preferably before you get into it. All right, that's our questions for today. Next week we've got one more on the legal questions, and then we'll do a week or two on insurance questions about the property, and we will see you next time. Thanks for watching.